So this particular slide, the reason I'm showing this is, talks about the statistics here that I just talked about a little bit. You may or may not have this in your book. It's just a statistic book. But this is the one that shows another opportunity where the vast majority of people, 87% of the soft tissue injuries are soft tissue, 32% are disc, 16% are nerve, 2% are 10% are mild concussion, and 2% are fracture. But what else this shows in the whole article is, guess what percentage of population of, now we already said 4%, or excuse me, we said 2% of all the people are in auto accidents, 2% every year, okay? We said it was the fourth leading cause of going to the emergency room, okay? How many of them are going to chiropractors?
8%.
Huh?
8% of the 2%?
No, there is a higher percent of personal injury patients that go to chiropractors than the population at large. There is. It's 32%. It's 32. So what's my point? You only have 32%. So, and then, in other words, how big is the market? How big is the personal injury market when it's the fourth leading cause of going to the hospital? How big is the market when 2% of the population are in automobile accidents every year? Do the math. You guys have been in practice for a few years. Multiply, take however many patients you see in a month. Like, let's do this right now, okay? Let's say you see 20 new patients a month, okay? So that's 240 a year, right? Who's got a calculator? Do the math for me. What's 2% of 240? This is your patients that are in automobile accidents every year.
8.
How many? 80? 240, how many?
5
a month.
Yes.
Okay, or wait a minute. What's 2% of, okay, so we're talking about, if we take 1 year of active patients, 240.
Right.
2% of that is what?
5.
5, okay, so 5. Now, we have a circle of influence of 7. A circle of influence of 7. Okay? In other words, mother, father, brother, sister. And the number one reason that, the number one place people will go when they're looking for a product or service is they'll go for a referral. Do you know of a good attorney? Do you know of a good doctor? Whatever. They'd rather get it from a family member or friend than just try to find it on their own. Okay? We'll go into this deeper. But here's my point. So you got 240 for 1 year. Let's say you've been in practice 10 years. 240 times 10 is what? 2,400, right?
Yeah.
So now, what's 2% of 2,400? 50. Divide 50 into 12. 12 months a year. How much is that? 4 something? So if you're only seeing 20 visits a week over 10 years, that's 4 of your patients that are in automobile accidents every year. And so my question to you is, are you talking to your past patients? Chances are you're not. Well, guess who else is talking to them? The average consumer sees 7,000 messages a day. So let me understand this. You don't talk to them. You don't maintain the relationship. You don't interact with them. They get 7,000 messages a day, but 2 years later, you expect them to come back to you. No, that's called la-la land. They got a lot of other people out there pulling them. Every day, your patients are being taken. Either you're keeping them in the loop, or somebody's taking them out of your loop. One or the other. If you're not talking to them, somebody else is. Now, multiply that times a circle of influence of 7. So we said there was 2,000, so if we took 240 a year times 10 years, 2,400. What's 2,400 times 7? Circle of influence. Mother, father, brother, sister. How much is that? 2,400 times 7. At least 14,000, right? 2 times 7, 14, so we're probably at 15,000. Okay? So multiply the patient number, 50 times 7, 350. So you have a direct influence of 300. If you've been in practice for 10 years and you're seeing only 20 patients visits, 20 new patients a month at a 2% auto injury rate. Okay? Multiply that times the circle of influence. What's 7 times 5? 350. What's 350 divided by 12? 12 months. 350. 12 into 30 roughly. That's 30 new patients you have direct foot in the door access to because of a trusted relationship. And how many of you are talking to them? Instead, what are you doing? Going chasing, probably nothing, or you're chasing somebody you don't even know. How much sense does that make? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's why sometimes I'll have clients join me and I go, how long have you been in practice? 20 years. Like I think you said you've been in practice 20 years. I'm like, guess what the first thing I'm doing if I'm him and doing with personal injury? You always go from circle influence inner to outer. That's where you always go first. You never jump to cold calls. That's the last thing you ever do in marketing. We'll cover this. But I get somebody like him. Usually when they come to me, I go, do you have any type of system in place to be communicating with 20 years of attorneys? How many attorneys you probably have dealt with in 20 years, roughly? More than 10? More than 30? Okay. I would say if you've been in practice 20 years, you're probably at, 20 to 30 attorneys easily. I'm talking about incidental stuff. I'm not talking about regular referrals. I'm talking about somebody who sent you a business, you didn't follow up, you didn't sell them, and they went their way and you went your way. You never saw them again. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'll get people like that who've been in practice 20 years, they don't talk to, haven't communicated, educated, kept in touch with, and they have, and now they want to do personal injury marketing. I'm like, are you kidding me? You should be retired right now. By just keeping up and maintaining and supporting that business, you should have been overwhelmed by business. You should have multiple associate doctors and not even have to work. But instead, he's got one office, he's got to work, and then he's chasing cold calls. He wants to go after somebody he doesn't even know and they don't know him. I'm like, good thing you hired me. Should have hired me 20 years ago. You would not have to be working right now. So that's called what? It's called opportunity. That's what it's called. Now, why don't chiropractors see that opportunity? Because all these people aren't calling you. That's why. You don't see the opportunity because they're not calling your office. Well, why aren't they calling your office in large amounts? Where are they going? They're going to the GP. They're going to the emergency room. They're taking the NSAIDs. They're doing everything but calling you the chiropractor. Why? What are you branded as? Nothing. You own no category at all. You are not branded as anything. If anything, what you're branded as confusion. Because you say you do everything with this thing called a subluxation. You're branded as confusion. And if people are willing to spend time or money when they're confused, do they move in or out? They move out. And that's why you're stuck at 8% after 120 years with a negative 67% negative name recognition. And if you don't know educational sales to overcome that, that's what you're stuck with. And that's why over 50% of the chiropractors fail in practice after 5 years and get out of it. You guys probably have friends, know people that have already gone out. I was going through a sad story. I was going through airport, going through TSA security. Lady stops me, says, I know you. I looked at her, go, I didn't recognize her. I go, what did I know you from? I saw your video. So what video did you see? I'm a chiropractor. TSA, she's working for TSA. I'm a chiropractor. She's not practicing anymore. She's now working for TSA. She's a chiropractor. That's what happens when you don't know, when you don't have the knowledge and skill level. See, so when you don't get all kinds of people calling you, you don't think there's a big market. And then what do? You start chasing everything. You start chasing everything. You go here, you go there. You start chasing everything for the money. That's what happens. Instead of learning a skill set, instead of increasing your knowledge base. Because there's a ton of potential business out there.